name is Delia Van Prague, and this is Nothing Ventured. Today we have staff member Melissa on the pod. Melissa, how are you?
Ooh, I'm doing good, Delia. How are you?
I'm doing good too.
Just taking it easy, relaxing, maxing.
Good. So how did you get to Venture House?
I got to Venture House via Indeed. So they were looking for a program manager for the young adult supportive housing program. And I already had housing and supported housing experience. So I just applied. I came in, did the interview. Everybody loved me. I came in for the second experience, the half day. Everybody loved me again. And then I got called and here I am.
Perfect.
Yep.
What got you interested in working with the mental health population or housing and supported housing?
So I got into housing from my old position. They had a vacancy in their housing program there. And I kind of just applied for it. I've been there. I was doing like case manager work like prior to that. So they were just like, hey, would you like to be the housing specialist? And I was like, okay. And I just applied and I got the position. And then I worked my way up to housing supervisor there. And then through that, I started doing like supportive housing, like regular like NYCHA housing, city FEPS housing. So I was kind of like in all different sectors of housing, working with everyone from all the basically the clients that we serviced at that facility. So that was like from 18 to I guess 80, whatever the ages were that we needed to. I provided services for everyone that was there. And then mental health, I knew about mental health prior to this. My mom is diagnosed with DID. So
what is DID?
Dissociative identity disorder. She got diagnosed, I think maybe when I was like 12. Since then, I guess we've been just trying to help her with her journey.
Right. So what was it like growing up with a mother who had mental illness before and after she was diagnosed?
Before, it was kind of like you didn't know like why things were happening, because 1 minute she'd kind of like be like your friend, like, oh hey, let's go here, let's go out to the store, let's go shopping, let's do this. And then it'll be times where she'd be home and then she'd be just like super strict, like, don't touch that, you can't eat after 8 o'clock. She even like put locks on the fridge one time and was like, when it's locked, nobody can eat anything. So it was two very dynamic, like two drastic extremes that we saw with my mom.
Gotcha. And is she still alive?
Yeah, she's still alive. She lives in Florida now.
Okay.
Yeah, she's still alive.
Florida's nice.
Yeah, Florida's lovely.
I wouldn't want to live there, but it's a great place to visit.
Yeah, they have a lot of hurricanes over there in Florida, so I won't be over there.
So what is your favorite thing about Venture House?
My favorite thing about Venture House is this feel and sense of like belonging that I feel when I come here.
Yeah.
Everybody's so kind, everybody's so sweet, everybody's so like, welcoming. They're just like, hey, how's it going? How's even members who you haven't seen in a long time, they come in and it's still like, oh, I just saw you yesterday. So that feeling, that sense of belonging is definitely what I love about Venture House.
Great. What is one thing you love about yourself?
I love my outgoing personality. So I love just being able to talk to anybody about anything at any time.
Yeah.
Just being able to jump in and kind of feel like, feel the person out, of course, not just, speaking about things with people who I never met, but, trying to feel the person out to figure out how I can be able to best talk to them, best ease into the conversation that I need to have.
Yes.
Yeah, but being social, I love to talk to people. I love to get to know people. I'm a people person.
I can tell. And even the way you've greeted me sometimes, like, yeah. Delia, makes me feel good.
Yeah, you're welcome. You're welcome. Everybody should have their own, like, special little thing. And I like to make people smile. So just, me saying hi to you doesn't do me anything. It's just like, why could I not make your day with just saying hi to you?
Right.
Like Dan the Man. I have people who I have different like sayings for, and I'm sure like it resonates with them. Like they're probably like, wow, Melissa, she's cool.
So let's talk a little bit more about you and your mom. And for people that don't know what dissociative disorder is, you go into that a little further?
Yeah, sure. So dissociative identity disorder is kind of basically having like split personalities. It used to be multiple personality disorder, and then I guess like the DSM, like over time they've changed like what it is. So now officially it is dissociative identity disorder. And like I said, it's kind of just being one person at one time and then another person, and it's kind of like instantaneous, like the translation. So you never know if it's going to be good or if it's going to be bad, or like how many. So some people can have more than two, some people can have three, four. Some people, my mom, we kind of saw two. It kind of was like two roles, like a mom and then like a friend.
How did she get diagnosed?
So I guess my dad had to notice like different like personality traits. Like I said, like we the lock on the fridge was just like one night we kind of went to sleep, and then we kind of like woke up in the morning, and she just came and was just like, I have a new rule in the house. Like once I closed the fridge, and it was at 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. So 9 p.m. she made note to everybody like, hey, at 9 I'm closing the fridge. And it's me, my dad, my mom, and I have two younger sisters at the time that were living there. So you could imagine kids are probably hungry after 9. We want like a little snack and stuff like that. But she put a lock on the fridge and said that after 9 o'clock nobody can eat. And it was everybody included. She kind of put the lock on and didn't give anyone the key. Not even my dad had the key. And he kind of was like, are you okay? Like, you know you're fine. And she was like, no, I'm tired of waking up and having to clean up messes in the sink and having dirty dishes. And my dad was like, okay, all right, I'll speak to the kids. And he kind of did speak to them, like, hey, you guys shouldn't be eating after a certain time. And he'd be like, okay. And I guess then like the next morning she kind of was like, like, oh, I'm going to take the lock off. And then being kind of like sweet, like kind of like, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know what got into me yesterday. I don't know what I was thinking. And I guess he had to see like other patterns that we weren't seeing for him to take her to the doctor. But she was officially diagnosed when I was 10. And my dad kind of let us know, like, hey, mommy's been acting kind of strange. I took her to the doctor, but she's feeling better now. She's doing better now. And when she first came, so I guess she did a stay in the psych ward. But like I said, I'm 10, so I don't really know what's going on. But she was kind of like out of it when she first came home. Kind of like weird. I'm crying.
Sorry.
Yeah, she was kind of like weird, like, kind of not distant, treating us, like, yes, no answers. Like, we're like, can we go to the park? Yes. But, like,
take your time.
Like, motionless, kind of, just, I can do it. Yeah, she was really kind of like emotionless to us. Like very like abrupt. And then I guess like over time, she kind of just, I guess, kind of got adjusted to her medication. So it went from being like, yes, no, to then being like a friend. And when the friendship like stopped, she then went to being a mom. I actually moved with my dad when I was 12. So they ended up getting divorced after, when I was like 11. They got divorced, and I didn't like what was going on in the house. She was just like too crazy. It was another incident where, like I said, the personality disorder, where one day she actually read my diary to like all of my friends in the park. Yeah. But me looking back now, I realized it was part of, sis. And yeah, me looking back now, I realized it was part of her diagnosis. Her acting out, her not letting us do certain things that kids would do. Like, we couldn't go to the park some days. Some days it was like, hey, can we go to the park? It's not. So I said, no, stay inside the house. And it was just kind of like, why? Like, like, why can't we go outside to play with our friends? Kind of like, no, then she like finds stuff like around the house to do. But like I said, now that I'm older and I understand it and I work with people who have mental health issues, I kind of know, I kind of like see like these were all like, some of her shows, some of her tells of her like, kind of like having like a mental health crisis and us not being able to like detect it, like know what was going on. But like I said, for the most part, it was really like living with somebody who was one day like your best friend, and then the next day like living with like a warden. So back to the diary, we were like I said, at this time I was like living with my dad. So I used to go stay with him during the weekend, and I come home to her house on the weekend. And I had a group of friends there, and I had a group of friends at her house as well. So one day I had a diary, like all kids have diaries, and like they write down their feelings, like how they're feeling, like things that may have happened with a friend or something like that.
Yeah.
And I came back to the park that day, and none of my friends were talking to me, and I was kind of like, hey, like what happened? And then she like had the book like in her hand and was like, oh hey, she said like if I said like Alexis has like a big head and I don't like her shoes and she smells like pickles, she would tell Alexis like, this is what Melissa thinks of you. You are her friend, and this is what she thinks of you. And she kind of like read through my diary, kind of like told the boy that I liked him, and all like the other kids, whoever was there, whoever was in my diary. And if she could tell him, she told him. And I think at that point it was just like a trigger for me, and I kind of was like, I don't want to be here. And I just told my dad, I was like, I don't want to go back to her house, I don't want to see her. I never told him what happened, but I did tell him, I was like, I don't think I want to go to mommy's house anymore. And he was like, okay. He was like, that's what you want, because like I said, at this point I was living with him, and I hadn't seen her for, so this is 12, and I didn't see her again until I was like maybe 20, 21.
Wow. A really long time.
Yeah, 21. I had got another story. So I got pregnant with my son, and I was like, I want him to know his grandmother, and that was really why I was like, I'd start talking to her. But then, like I said, it was the same thing, just same personality traits, same being like very inconsistent, looking at like, hey, can I come over to your house? Yeah, you can come over. Then the day will come, I'll come over. Oh, what are you doing here? And I'm like, you told me like last week that I could come over. I'm here with the baby. Like, we're here to see you. And it'll be like, we're there. And then she's like, oh, make sure you clean up after your baby. Don't leave a mess. And I'm just like, all right, I got you. I'll clean up. I'll do what I need to do. We'll take care of each other. But kind of like reminding me of like why I stopped talking to her in the first place.
Triggering.
Very triggering. And then when I look at it now, I think about my sisters. They actually lived there with her the whole time.
Wow.
Yeah, so I kind of say I was lucky.
Yeah.
I got out, but
stable place.
Yeah, they're fine. Thank God. They're fine. They're too good human beings. I'm gonna be honest. I haven't spoken to her in maybe, I want to say I spoke to her after Corona, maybe like 3 years.
She lives by herself, and
I don't know who she lives with, but I know she's in Florida. She's in Florida. I think she lives with her partner in Florida. I couldn't tell you. Like I said, we don't really speak. She speaks to my sisters more, and she, like I said, the last interaction that we had, she was here. She came down from Florida again, and my aunt has the spare keys to my apartment, and my aunt let her in my apartment, and she was alleging that I took her passport and I burnt her picture on her passport, and her passports were in my son's room, in his coat, in his closet, which is like, in that, it's, when you think about like where it was, it's kind of like you have to like know where these things are to get in there. It's not like in his room, in his closet, in his coat, like a real like specific place. And I was like, why would I take your things? Like, why? I don't even know you were here. So I kind of blame my aunt for that situation, because I told her, like, why would you let her in my apartment? She's like, oh, she came here and she needed some place to stay, and I know that you were at work. I was like, but don't you think to like ask me if like I would like somebody in my house?
Yeah.
So that, and like I said, that was like the last interaction that we had. And then other than that, I haven't really spoken to her. She knows I have another kid, but she's never seen him, never like met him, or like I don't even think she knows his name.
You have 2 sons?
Yeah, 2 boys.
My mom.
Yeah, boy mom, Courtney and Lexington. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I don't speak to her. But I do want to. I do want to build up, that relationship. I think that all kids want that from their parents.
Absolutely.
You want your mom to approve of you. You want your mom to love you, to be there to cry on your mom's shoulder, to tell her things like, a lot of like relationship advice. You want to be able to say, hey mom, like, this boy is doing this. I didn't get that. It was a lot of like figure it out on like your own. So thank God I had a dad. He's amazing. He's like, that's my best friend.
Oh.
Yeah, my dad is super. He did his best, and he's still doing his best. My dad brings me lunch here, brought me soup the other day, so he's amazing. And like I said, he did what he had to do. I guess he was like, if I can't save them all, I'm at least save one. So, and I think he did a great job.
I'd bring in you soup. That's so sweet.
Yeah, he's a trip. He is a trip. He's funny. He's very, very. He's a dad. Still kind of. He always made sure that I wasn't like a pushover or anything. Like he's still kind of like rough. Like he was very assertive. Like he made me do a lot of things that I didn't want to do. Like he always like pushed me like out of my comfort zone and stuff like that. Like I remember being 15 and him making me drive the car like up and down like the driveway, like, oh, you need to learn how to drive. And I was like, I don't want to learn how to drive. And he's like, you should. It's something that people should know. And then from that to like going around the block to him sending me to the store. So he taught me like a lot of things, like how to change tires, taught me how to check like gas levels in the oil. And I'm like, why do I need to know these things? And he was just like, just people need to know these things. And I was like, all right. I think sometimes he wanted me to be a boy, so he was kind of like, oh, she's gonna know everything. But yeah, he's super cool.
What brings you joy?
Seeing people smile and be happy. I think I feel like sad if somebody else feels sad. I'm kind of like, oh, why are you sad? Like, how can I help you? Like, how can I make you feel better?
Yeah.
Which is why I guess sometimes, like, like I always try to like make sure everybody's good, and not just to make sure, but actually to make sure and like care, like really, really care. Because people like, hey, how you doing? You're like, I'm kind of sad. And I'm like, oh, all right, hope you feel better. Me is kind of like more like, how can I make you feel better? Like, what can I do? Like, can I help you do something? Is there something you need help with? Because I just want to make everybody happy. Yeah.
And the young adults?
Yeah. Yeah, so right now I'm the program manager for the young adult supportive housing program here. Me, Nate, and Sean, and we're doing amazing things with the youth. We do the pizza paint night once a month. We go out to events. We went bowling last month with them. We had a great time. Sean unofficially lost. Nate won. I was in the middle, we had a good time. But yeah, I really love my job. Like I really love coming to work every day and helping everyone that needs help. And a lot of the young adults that I help, they're kind of like family. Like they become like my extended children.
So cute. Seems like a good place to wrap up.
Yeah.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on?
No, just Venture House. Venture House is awesome. You guys are amazing. Well, you're amazing, Delia. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
Melissa, thank you for coming on the pod and for being so open. This is, once again, Nothing Ventured. I'm Delia Van Prague. This was Melissa. And have a mentally healthy day.